so I had an explosion in my kitchen.
Wait, start recording before you tell me, because this maybe
it is
intel.
Recording.
Okay.
That's what took me so long. So I was making a pomegranate grapefruit I swear. I was making a pomegranate grapefruit pull. Oh my gosh, why can't I say that all of a sudden? Paloma.
I don't even know what you're trying to say. Okay.
Let me go back.
I was like, I don't even know where you're going with this to help you.
Why am I losing the word all of a sudden? So, okay, my drink for this one is a pomegranate grapefruit paloma. And I put
sounds really good.
Yeah, I put the put the club soda or sparkling water in the shaker. I started shaking it and it was all
oh no. I can't even say anything because I did that with the drink 2 episodes ago.
Turn it supposed to be and I was like, afterwards. No, but I tasted it and the Paloma has like tequila in it.
Ooh.
And I was just like, ooh, that's like tequila has its own flavor.
Yeah.
So it's still sitting out there right now. But I redid it. I was like, all right, because I'm more like vodka. I'm used to that because all of the martinis I drink. So I remade it using vodka. So I can't call it a paloma anymore. I swear. Like I could say that word before, and now all of a sudden I'm like, so anyway, it is now just a pomegranate grapefruit cocktail.
You reminded me of like Dr. Evil, where he's all
No.
I've never seen that.
No.
Oh my god. He's just like he's like mocking his son. He's all
That's funny.
Oh god.
Good times. Good times.
Drinking, which goes along with our story today.
Oh man. That's right. I forgot already.
I know. But
I'm sorry. I was going to drink that with you. Yeah, I'll do the next one.
It's okay. Next one. Because the next one, actually, I'm not going to say anything until that video. But yes, this kind of goes.
It's a good wine.
It is a good wine. This one, I mean, it's a little drier than what I'm used to. I like the sweet
I know
stuff,
you like the sweeter ones.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's good. So
I love the bottle.
I'll take it.
Jordan and I keep like bottles like that, and we put it out for Halloween decor.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you've never been to our other house, but all along the top of our cabinets, granted, there was only a few of them, but I mean, the whole thing was stacked with just wine bottles. And of course, the rest we had to throw away because then no more fit up there. Just comes to show you how much wine I drink.
Choose. Power of elimination here. I know.
So before we get into this story, I have an interesting question for you. And apparently, I don't even know. I don't want to tell you yet what or why this question is asked. I just want to see how you answer. I know, but
like quizzes.
it's not like that. It just depends on how you answer will determine something. So the question is, or it's kind of like a story, right? So 2 sisters, we'll say sister number 1 and sister number 2. So both sisters end up going to a family funeral. Sister number 2 meets a guy at the funeral, falls madly in love with him. 2 weeks later, sister number 1 dies. Why?
Two sisters attend a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
One
family funeral
meets a guy and falls absolutely in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then a week later, the other sister dies.
Yeah. Or a week or 2 later. Yeah.
I don't know.
Just tell me your thoughts. I mean, it could be anything.
I
could tell you
because they get off on that shit.
Though.
I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
They're all funerals do it for us, man. We need to have another one.
Oh my God. I mean,
those are my thoughts.
I haven't heard that one yet.
You're welcome.
So my thinking, as well as other people who have answered this question, we're thinking it was some kind of like love triangle thing, like maybe there was like a domestic dispute, like maybe they both fell in love with him, and so that was like the only way to get the guy. However, that is not the answer. Yours is pretty deep though. I feel like that could be another.
Yeah, I have to think about it. That's why I was repeating the story. I was like, do I have this right?
So let me tell you this before I give you the answer. This is a question that so Chris's boss that he works for at the shop, he has an FBI friend, and apparently this is a question that you can like ask your friends, or even just like ask your typical so-called sociopath.
Yeah.
And how you
the cards. What do you see here?
Yeah. And however you answer depends on like if you're a true psychopath or a sociopath versus a normal human being.
I want to know what mine is.
I'm gonna have to ask him your answer because I feel like that's pretty. So the answer is sister number 2 killed her to see him again. So that was that, which if you think about it, because obviously there's a lot of details that could go into this,
and it was a ghost, and so they had to be, I don't know.
Now that's you're funny. Reading too far into it.
Well, yeah, but to see him again. So it's like,
but they met at a family funeral. So like in her thinking and a psychopath's thinking is in order to see him again, she would have to kill a family member, which in her mind, the closest family member is this first sister. So that was her way of seeing him again. Well, I wasn't totally off base. I know. That kind of concerns me. Like,
we need a funeral. Because that's what does it for us.
Yours is like Bonnie and Clyde times 10. Like, and you throw kink into it.
That's funny. I think I like that. I'm just kidding. Oh, God. I'm joking.
Moving on.
Yes, please.
So, the reasoning for the wine that we chose for today, we are going to be talking about Elizabeth Bathory, so also known as the Blood Countess.
I know when you first told me that name, I was all,
it's very interesting.
I really like that name, but
it is
not condoning anything that she may or may not have done.
It's a really cool Countess. Name.
Yeah, it's a cool
name. I mean,
I want to be that for
Halloween. It's a female version. Think about it, female version of Dracula, right? So, and there's a reason to that. How much did you do? A lot of research on her at all?
No,
not really.
I read the articles that you sent me. The first one was the most interesting, I think.
Okay. So dating back, and this is dated back to the 1600s, that she existed. She was born in Hungary. She was of Hungarian nobility, and she was a noblewoman. Her uncle was the king of Poland, and her nephew was the prince of Romania. Dracula, dun, dun, dun.
I know.
So it's like all connected.
Like a name in here where I was all, what is it? Dracula.
Dracula.
No, the name. Anne. Her name was Anne Dravulia.
Dravulia.
It's Darvulia. I read that and I was all Dravulia, but I can't do the R's.
Dravulia.
Damn, I wish I could talk like that.
Right? I like their accent. I don't know. It's very like charismatic. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, so She was born in August 7th, 1560, and she grew into beauty and wealth. So she was a very beautiful woman, and also being in a wealthy family. I mean, she was pretty much royalty in that country. By age 11 or 12, there's kind of some speculation between the ages, but she was young. She was engaged to, I'm probably going to butcher this name.
I Googled it.
It's so hard. So,
oh my gosh.
Nadasti. That's how I would say it.
That's
I
fine.
I don't know if that's.
I had to replay
right.
it like 10 times, and I was like, "Gosh, you have to do it so fast."
Yeah, very interesting. Well, it's almost like a type of Russian. I feel. I don't know. It's a very unique language. So obviously the names are pretty out there.
Polish.
Ferenc. Oh, Polish. That's what it is. Yeah. So Ferenc Nadasti, and they married in 1575, and she was 14 at that time, or 15, 14. She actually, which this is very interesting, she outranked her husband. So he actually took her name as part of his own. I know, right? You never see that ever. I mean, it's like a form of sexism. I feel like these days, like they're like, no, you need to take the men's name. It's so stupid. Or
no,
like
it's
the women
not like that anymore. It's more of a choice. I mean, a lot of women don't take their husband's name, or they'll do a hyphen.
I'm saying the man taking the woman's name. You never ever see that.
Yeah, you never see that.
Yeah. No, it's either they take their husband's names, or they'll hyphenate it, or they'll just keep their name. But the men, I've never heard of that. Yeah, he was a lower ranking. Take my name. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, it was a form of royalty again. So, he took her name. She when they were first together in her younger years, and she was married, she did end up taking a lower level lover who she had a child with. So she bore a child with this man.
And that was before they got married.
Oh, it was before they got married?
It was before they got married. And then they like, well, I'll let you tell the details about what happened to that guy. But they kind of hid the child, and then they got married.
Yeah. So...
And like in those days, so I'm sorry, I know, but
so it begins.
It begins because I think, damn it. So when I read that, I was all, that's weird. I was like, usually, like when your virgin status is gone, like especially in those days, like the men usually don't want anything to do with you. But because she had much, much more than him, to the point where he took her name. Of course, he's like, okay, let's just like hide that child, and you and I will still get married.
It's that level of power. Because I mean, if you think about it too, you know, the men of royalty, the men of royalty, they were usually the ones too that would have children with their little side pieces.
Yeah, but that's always been okay.
Yeah, it's just that double standard, right? But apparently, I mean, obviously they still got married, so it wasn't that big of a deal. However, it was a big deal for the lover.
Wealth weighs virginity.
Yeah, I feel really bad for him because she did end up having him castrated and torn to pieces. The lover.
Yeah, she did it. The dude did.
I thought they...
No, Nadasdi.
Oh, okay.
He had, when he found out, he had the lover castrated and then like pulled into pieces and eaten up by dogs or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's stated.
Yes.
I'm thinking, oh, that's gnarly.
I know.
These were really bad.
There's a whole, like, see, that's kinky. Like I feel like that whole household.
That's not kinky. That's just wrong.
But I'm saying that whole household because even later, as we talk about more of what she did, he kind of knew about it. So
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's like a kink because they I mean, he knew about it. Yeah. So let's get back into it.
I know we're all jumping.
I know. So they lived in the Nadasdy castles that were in present day Slovakia. I'm not going to even try to say the names of those cities.
I know,
back
I
then.
tried to, and I was like, yeah, forget it.
No, yeah, no. Modern day Slovakia. So he was Frank, her husband, he was a soldier. He was often away. So, which is just like your typical soldier. And the way I see it, she was kind of like a bored housewife, right? She took
I
on
need
lovers.
a little of entertainment.
Yeah, literally. I mean, nowadays it's drugs. So hers was killing and torturing young women.
Come here, peasant.
That's so bad.
I know. We shouldn't be laughing at this.
I know. But I guess you have to have a dark sense of humor, though.
We don't quite know if all this is true, which I'm sure you'll talk about too.
Well, I think it is. I just think there's different versions of it that
I'm sure. But if it is
throughout.
true, isn't it weird that they have like a statue of her?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's probably, I mean, if you think of like Transylvania in general, right? They're all things, I don't know, just
freaky and folklore,
yes,
and legend and myth.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you Googled Transylvania? It's actually very pretty.
I haven't Googled it, but I feel like I've seen just like, images or whatever.
Yeah, there's like some parts of it that's just pretty.
I would love to go out there. I mean, just see, because I
told
think,
Jordan
especially with the castles and the history and everything, I think it would be really cool to experience
the folklore and stuff, which I dig. Yeah. I totally dig.
But. Yeah, and that's where Dracula was based out of. I mean, come on, like, how would you not want to go see where Dracula
let's go to its origins.
Yes. Oh, okay. So Elizabeth, with her boredom, she did end up taking on lovers and had 4 other children. And then he later died in 1604. So she was left by herself. And the husband died. The husband died, yes. So,
and it's reported that the 4 children are his, not the lovers. But who knows, right? They hid the first one. So,
well, especially having plenty of lovers and him being away all the time. I mean,
yeah, he enjoyed soldiering, which explains why he wanted to grotesquely murder her first lover.
Right.
So I am really
he's kind of built on that violence.
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah. Yep. So there were claims that she's known for torturing and killing young women. Some reports say it happened or it spiked after he passed away, but she actually took it on well before, and it was introduced by her uncle, supposedly. He introduced her to Satanism, and her aunt was the one who actually taught her about sadomasochism. So kind of introducing her to the torture and like the killing. And it was almost like
introducing her to that dark world.
Yeah, it was literally, to me, it was kind of a form of entertainment and just something to do. And then they kind of bonded over it. And even other things that I've read, it was kind of like her aunt. I mean, they would do these things together. It was just a weird family dynamic, I guess. Yeah. So, and apparently, in order to please her when her husband was still alive, he did build her a torture chamber where she could.
So one article I read, because like the castle still is there, and it's like, but where is that? So I don't know if that's really confirmed, because a lot of what's sad is like a lot of this is like speculation, or some things happen like years, like 100 years later.
Yeah, it's legend.
But yeah, it's legend. But it's like, but you think about them as like a couple, and like, especially if like what really happened to the lover happened, I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah,
because they seem to both have that cruelty in them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So
and she really did the things that she did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I need some space.
Yes. So she was already kind of building on that torture. It wasn't until, which is why she got her name. She had this fascination with blood and how it made her look and how it made her feel. And it all started with the servant girl. So with this one, this again goes into legend. There's several different, variations of how this happened. So one of them I read, one servant was brushing her hair, and like, when you get like a knot and it kind of yanked it. So then she ended up beating her into rage. Another one, same thing, like while cutting her hair, she accidentally cut her, and same thing, she just kind of fought back. And so with her beating this servant to death, some of her blood got on her skin, and she swore it made her skin softer and smoother and younger, thus starting her obsession with this blood. And from then on, she constantly kidnapped young, I think she started off with servant girls, just
she would lure them in with like a promise to work.
Yes, exactly. And she tortured them, and using many different methods. One using, like using pins and needles underneath the fingernails, which underneath the fingernails is very sensitive. Even just thinking about it, well,
even when you slam it on something, it's like, I can't imagine something sharp going in there. Ugh.
Exactly. Even in their eyes, she would use put them, like the pins and the needles in their eyes. She would tie them down. She would smear them with honey for bees and ants to come and attack them. Even as far as forcing a girl to cut off her own flesh, cook it, and eat it. So very grotesque, very
and something gruesome. That I read that she started with her husband, or her husband showed her, which may have sparked a lot of this too, is have like a piece of paper soaked in oil between the servant's fingers, and it was a way of punishment, and they lit it on fire to punish the servants. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, like, do people really do that?
I mean, if they're really looking to torture somebody, because people, especially people like this, where they get off on torture, and especially now she has a purpose for it. We have almost people like they get creative
in this day and age that are like that. So of course, in like those days, and they're rich, so they can probably get away with it.
And a lot of things, were kind of brushed under the table, especially because of her being a noble woman and being in that wealthy royalty family. Yes. So everything was just kind of brushed under the rug until it kind of got out of hand. But it did go as far as her bathing in their blood. So she would literally drain these girls dry into a bathtub, which ironically reminds me of the Blake Libel case, how he drained her of her body. The only difference is she bathed in the blood. So it's not like she just drained them.
His was she was using morbid curiosity to watch it happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And she was
that story still, it disturbs me. Like I had some bad dreams after that one.
It's disturbing. Gosh. It's very disturbing. And especially with Elizabeth, she was built on vanity. She was already born young and, or just beautiful. And then as she got older, she became really obsessed with how she looked. She became obsessed with the mirrors. And so therefore, again, just started this whole obsession. So of course she would bathe in their blood. Why wouldn't she? It's just so wrong.
So again, I think about this and I'm like, the smell, you're just all soaking in it.
You just smell like metal. I feel like, same with taste. Cause she drank the blood too. She ingested it.
Yeah.
So it's like a form of cannibalism and just sinful acts. Because vanity is one of the 7 deadly sins.
True. That's true. Yeah.
So moving on. So she was reported. So again, this goes back to her crimes being ignored for so long until she started targeting the daughters of the noble.
Yeah, men. I was going to say, because they didn't really. Sorry. So I was going to say, like, it was because the lower level, like the peasants or the servants, like they weren't really noticed in society.
No.
So I don't think people really cared, sadly, until the the more noble family members started to go missing. And
Right.
yeah,
And it was the daughters. And
yeah.
so that started to really
And
get
then, well, yeah, what's
noticed.
up with the girls? Like, why women? And does that have to go back to like the vanity part
Mhm.
kind of
Oh,
thing? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Because it's, I mean, think about it. There were, I mean, yeah, there were like servant boys or whatever you want to call it, or peasants. But I mean, with young girls, it's like if you're trying to achieve beauty, I'm not going to go to a man, because they have a certain
Well,
type of
some.
look. Like if you think about it, like with Hocus Pocus, right? Like how they're sucking out the youth of them. It's kind of the same deal, just with young, beautiful
But way
women.
worse. But
way worse, and with blood.
Torture was involved.
And so, with the amount of women that she was killing, it can only go so far. So, in 1610 is when finally King Matthias intervened. And again, it was becoming more noticeable when the noblemen' daughters were coming up missing. It was Here was another part of the legend, that she had a journal full of all of the girls' names that she had killed and tortured. But yet this journal was never found. So it's kind of hard to really say if that was really true. But I mean, she killed anywhere between 600 to 650. I mean, that would be the most notorious serial killer, I feel, in the books.
So it was claimed, but I think there was
claimed.
actually records of there were 80 counts of murder, I believe.
Yeah. But it was believed that it was anywhere between
Yeah.
600 to 650.
Yeah.
I mean,
and her own, was it her brother? Who did the investigation? It was it was her family member. Was it her brother?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, cousin. It was her cousin, Gregory Thurzo, which I probably said that really wrong, but Gregory. Yeah. So King Matthias ordered Gregory Thurzo to investigate, and that so that and then I read in one of them, like when he started, like when he walked into the castle, like there were body parts like everywhere, which I mean, I don't know, but
I mean, I feel like it would be pretty accurate, especially with that many bodies. And you have to think too, I mean, it's not like she just started a few years. I mean, this started when she was
been doing it for a
young.
while.
So who's to say? And to be surrounded, I mean, if you're bathing in somebody's blood, you're not going to worry about like a hand or a head just sitting in the corner somewhere.
I'm so used to the smell by now.
This is nothing. This is decoration at this point. Like a whole another version of Ed Gein, but that's another story.
No, Gacy. Wasn't it Gacy?
No, Ed Gein.
Ed Gein.
Ed Gein is the one where that was based off of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, but it was Gacy that buried the little boys' bodies in his basement.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Ed Gein, he was known for the nipple belt and the skull as a bowl to eat out of. Maybe we can do that as a story. Okay. Since you don't know too much about it. There's a lot, like even Norman Bates. Norman Bates is based off of him because he has a weird obsession with his mother. But I don't want to get too into detail because if we want to do that as a story, I mean, that one's pretty detailed. Yep.
Come back.
Yeah, squirrel.
Yes.
Okay. So again, this journal that supposedly had the names of the girls was never found. So upon speculation, but it is a part of the legend or the myth of it. So for her, apparently she also had servant girls who would help her, which I mean makes sense. I mean she was of power and she probably threatened them that if they didn't help her, that she would they would be next.
Or they were just as sick.
Or I mean, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I don't know. I'm out there guilty.
I mean, regardless, they were also taken away and they were tried.
Yeah.
But with her, because she was of nobility, they didn't want to put her on trial. Like, it was almost shameful to put her on trial. Right.
Put her on house arrest.
Exactly.
But that wasn't as glorious as you think it would be.
No. The girls, I mean, they were tried and then they were executed. But for her, she pretty much sat in this room in a castle, and she had a little slit of air, or a little slit for air and for food. And then that was it. And she was in there for 3 years.
Darkness.
Until she finally
there's no light either.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that would be a pretty horrible. She was 54. Yeah, 54. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I feel like she was still pretty young. Mm-hmm.
But in those days, was that considered young? Wonder how long people lived back then. Because you know how some people died, like, you know, they didn't live very long because of diseases, and they didn't have
the technology that we do. Yeah. So, I mean, and also to think of the circumstances that she lived in. I mean, how often did they go in there and clean out her cell? And
I wonder if she kind of starved to death in a way.
Yeah. I know I feel like a long time ago, when I was first intrigued by the story, there was one version of it where she didn't even touch her food, like towards the end. And they just found, like, when they did find her, that all the food was molded and maggoty, and she didn't touch it. I mean, I don't know how true that is, because this was, again, like years ago. Again, there's so many different versions of this story.
By sitting in her own filth and smelling it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
That would give her sickness and diseases just by itself. Just in a room with, like, no air.
Well, and having no light either. I mean, that takes a toll on a body. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And no, like, human interaction except for the passing of the food. And she died August 21st, 1614.
Now, there is speculation, though, because she didn't testify, that she could actually have been innocent of all of this, and that none of it's true, because her family members wanted her wealth. But then you think about,
that's a pretty gruesome accusation.
I know. You think about what was accused, and you're like, who would make that up?
But I'm like, you could dumb it down a little bit and she would still be, put away. But over 600 women, like 80 documented, because even 80 is a lot. I feel like that's a little over the top just to be accused for something like that. But
and just the torture part, or just the cruelty towards her servants. Like, even before killing them, like, just the cruelty alone. I'm like,
she enjoyed it.
Lock her up.
But that's how she got her name, the Blood Countess. And how I first came about the story is from that movie Stay Alive. Have you ever seen that?
Stay Alive? I don't think so.
It's a very cheesy horror film.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad, but it is based off of they use a video game that's based off of her story. And if you, like, die in the game, you die for real type deal. That's the cheesy part of it. But it is pretty creepy, because she like, how they used it. I mean, it was like a PC type game, and it's very intricate. Like, she is creepy. I mean, I honestly wanted a game like that to come out, because I was like, oh, this game would be so cool. It has, like, all these creepy little girls. Yeah. So we downloaded this game, and I haven't played it yet. I'll probably play it later tonight once we're done with all this. And it's called the Mortuary Assistant, and it's pretty creepy. And it's based off of, like, you're literally getting a body ready and, like, embalm it and all this crazy stuff. And supposedly there's, like, a demon running around, like, the mortuary, and you're supposed to extract it and exorcise it. And it's like, I haven't gotten that far, but it's crazy. It's creepy.
I'm like, leave that one to Chelsea. Of course, you found that one.
I know. I got all pissed off because Chris started playing it first, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, I can't even hear anything that's going on. And I said, you could just play it. I'll be in the other room. He's like, no, baby, you can play it. I was like, okay. That's what I wanted this whole time. Passive manipulation.
I know. Like, no wonder we women get the names we do. Again,
it's so bad. I know. But I'm like, I was the one who brought it up. I was the one who hyped it up. And then all of a sudden he wanted to play it. And I was like, no. Like, this is my idea. Yeah.